And we are live. What's going on, folks? Welcome to episode number 18 of the Nuclear Golf Podcast. My name is John. I'm the co-owner of Nuclear Golf and TW Legion. I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts, Ryan from JT Legion, Joey over at Scheffler Fans, and Hutch Bennett, one of our Nuclear ambassadors. Fellas, we got a lot to discuss tonight. Obviously, Travelers recap, huge win for Keegan Bradley, the Ryder Cup captain. Tommy Fleetwood completely choked it away once again. Had a 3-shot lead going into Sunday, couldn't get it done. Came down to the 18th, but just the same story continues for Tommy Fleetwood. Also going to get into Minjee Lee's third major win. She won at PGA Frisco yesterday for the KPMG Women's PGA Championship with very difficult conditions. PGA Tour has named a new CEO since we last had our previous episode. Brian Rolapp, who was the number 2 at the NFL, is now going to be leading the tour. We'll also get into the Wyndham Clark situation at Oakmont. He issued an apology, but not so sure if people thought it was very sincere. We've also got a Tiger Woods update. Tiger's back out in the wild again. Charlie Woods is going to be competing at the USAM after qualifying. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more things that we'll get into tonight as well. So without further ado, fellas, let's just talk a little bit about the Travelers, what you guys thought about Keegan Bradley returning to the winner's circle. Ryan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man, that was completely unreal how that finished. He was a stroke behind coming into 18, and then the Tommy Fleetwood fiasco, him changing clubs in the middle of the fairway, coming up short, probably should have went with the 9-iron instead of the pitching wedge, and then just it's to me like it's so weird, man. It's just more about like how Tommy gave that away than Keegan won. I mean, Keegan hit a great shot in there. Don't get me wrong, to 5-6 feet and made the putt. But I'm sure we'll get into it further. But that just more stirs up the Ryder Cup stuff for me. But super happy for Keegan to win in his territory up there, up north. So I thought it was really awesome to see.
Joey?
Yeah, I mean, you almost don't want to take away from what Keegan did, but it's just like, Tommy, dude. I mean, you gotta love the guy. I don't know how you feel, but Tommy Fleetwood's been such a consistent guy in the face of golf, and even through all the live PGA stuff, he's been steady, he's been himself, he's gone. He's not a flashy, exciting guy by any means. He kind of just plays his game. He's kind of resembles Scotty in that manner, I guess, except the inability to win. But I mean, it's again, you want to give Keegan his flowers, because to go into 18 down 2 shots or down a shot from, even if Tommy was able to go save par there, to go swing that and turn it into a win is absurd. So, and then obviously Keegan's just playing absolutely insane right now. And with the Ryder Cup coming up, that's a whole different scenario that people are buzzing about. And but yeah, I mean, honestly, for Keegan to be able to pull that out was pretty impressive. Again, the pressure's there. It's Tommy's tournament to lose in all efforts. So kind of a 2-way assist there for Keegan.
It was kind of wild, the whole day, because it started out with looking like Tommy was going to blow it because he bogeyed so many holes right there at the beginning, and looked like he was going to blow it. The 3-shot lead was kind of gone, and then he just kind of hung tight most of the day, and then we got down to that last hole, which was just insane. The whole last hole, we're talking about the shot that Keegan hit and Tommy missed clubbing. We're leaving out completely that Russell Henley chipped in from a crazy lie across the side of the green to all of a sudden it looked like he might get in the playoff if there was going to be a playoff. And then for Tommy to leave his putt so short and give Keegan the perfect line was just ridiculous as well. But he had just, on the 17th hole, he had just blown one by so far. So of course he was going to come up a little short. God, what a just chaotic, hectic 72nd hole. That was intense and insane, but that's everything that they look for. Like you mentioned too, Joey, kind of a home game for Keegan. He did mention after the round that he feels the responsibility to play for the people of New England. So for him, I mean, it's huge. Obviously the crowd was hyped up for him, right? They wanted this to happen. Feel terrible for Tommy because what's it, 41 top 10s, 42 top 10s now with 0 wins?
Yeah, it's 42.
Tour. Like
42,
that's
yeah.
Just insane.
wild. And you'd think for somebody like him, like maybe he's the new kind of sort of Sergio in a way, I guess. Like you'd think for somebody like him, he should have one. But you saw Sergio with the majors, like he got his Masters eventually. Surely Fleetwood will win a tournament at some point on the PGA Tour. Surely.
He's got her. So let's get into it a little bit. So Fleetwood, he had a one-shot lead on the 18th tee. He leaves his approach shot short of the green from 135. This is after he switched clubs, right? I'm not sure which club he had in hand. He switched and then left it short.
9 and then pitch.
He had a 9 and switched to a pitch. Yeah. So he came up short and then, leaves himself with a 6.5 footer, which at that point, Bradley was already in tight. He hadn't putted out. So regardless, Fleetwood needed that putt to get into the playoff. To get into the playoff, right? Because so Bradley is in there tight, hits it to 5.5 feet. Fleetwood misses his putt first. There's a viral video out there of his putt actually hitting a pitch mark on the putt. So it was like a really unlucky situation for Tommy Fleetwood there. Guy just can't buy a break, obviously. And then, Bradley's shot was just insane, like 5.5 footer. You knew that he wasn't going to miss that either.
No.
Guy's just pretty clutch in those moments. So, yeah, like you guys said, Fleetwood's played 159 tour events without a win now, 42 top 10 finishes. I think it's like the most of anyone on the PGA Tour going back to like 1980 something. I saw a stat today. Which is crazy. He's got 6 runner-ups. He's won $31 million in prize money
without winning.
Right? Like it goes like it's just crazy. It goes back so far. 42nd top 10 finish on the PGA Tour, most by any player without a win in the last 40 years, according to Justin Ray. So
the stat god.
He's due. Like this was his time. This was his moment. He had a 3-shot lead going into the final round. Started off kind of shaky yesterday. I think he had 2 bogeys in the first 3 holes. Kind of steadied the ship a little bit. It looked like he was going to be all right after that. But again, like things came back to haunt him towards the end of the round. And he wasn't able to close the deal. So
that's the biggest thing. It's like you have it like the whole time and you fumble a couple times and like the course gives you some gifts and the field gives you some gifts and you're still able to take a 1-shot lead into the 18th after all of that. And then to still in one hole, great iron player, wedge player, to be that centered in the fairway and have a decent look at it and just come up short is just mind blowing.
And you kind of figured like after he made the 5-footer on 17, after he blew it 5 feet past. So after he made the 5-footer on 17 and then he piped one right down the middle on 18, at that point, I kind of figured like, okay, like when the putt on 17, the first putt he hit blew 5 feet by, I was kind of like, oh God, here we go. Like he's going to blow this. But after he drained that putt and then piped one down the middle on 18, you're like, okay, he's going to be fine. Like he'll probably be all right. Just didn't count on the miss club and second guessing in the middle of the fairway, going back to a pitching wedge. Keegan was actually closer and hit more club and stuck it. So it just, what a crazy chaotic thing. And I just can't keep replaying the Russell Henley chip in, which everybody just forgot about him completely. And it just went in out of nowhere. So just a chaotic ending.
Yeah. If Keegan missed that putt, Russell Henley is in the playoff.
There's a 2-way play. And Tommy's out.
It's crazy because like that highlight didn't even get any airtime really because of the sequence of events, which is unfortunate in a way. Like what a moment for Russell Henley there.
Insane. What a terrible spot to be chipping from too. And
I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching Tommy, like on that 5-footer or whatever it was, I was kind of like this because I had that feeling. I had that feeling from the opening hole. It's just like there's something about getting over the hump in the States that is really just a burden for the dude. And he's such a great guy, great human being that you hate to see that. But it's like, I don't know what it's going to take because, from 135 yards or whatever, he's making par, I'm assuming 8 to 9 out of 10 times. There's just no way he's not. So, just the indecision. You could see the indecision between him and his caddy in the fairway. It was kind of heartbreaking.
He was 3/4 of a club short, though. I don't know if he was just counting on like
I think they misjudged the wind.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if he was counting on adrenaline or what. I don't know if he just didn't want to blow it way past, but God, man, you just needed a par right there, and doing that was just kind of wild. But I do want to give him some credit though, because he did go. And I don't want anybody to take this as a slight to Rory at all, but he did go talk to the media after the round.
Absolutely. We're gonna get into that in a sec. I got a full quote from Tommy Fleetwood, but before that, just finishing up on Russell Henley, he actually self-assessed himself for a penalty on Friday, I believe. Ryan, did you see that?
Friday, yeah. He said, and there was no camera footage of it at all. But he was talking with the rules officials, and he thought that it maybe moved just like a dimple or two. And they asked, are you sure? Because we don't have any video evidence. And he said, I'm sure. So he assessed it on himself. So good on him. I mean, that's going to pay dividends for him in the long run, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Like guys that are willing to do that, like nobody saw, playing partners didn't see, video didn't see, and 1-stroke penalty, right? He ends up coming up short by 1 shot.
It was kind of like prophetic that he chipped in. Honestly, It's like, oh, that was the 1 shot I missed out on. So
how do we not have video of that? Like, how are we in 2025 and we don't have at a signature event? We don't have every shot on video?
Because I think though that on every shot, I don't think every single hole has a camera that's looking at a lie that's down in the rough. Like I just almost think that's impossible.
But there was video of him hitting the shot, surely, right? Like not necessarily the ball, but
I never saw it.
No,
I never saw even video of the shot.
There's between 7 and 8 at Muirfield up in Dublin. The way the 7th green, basically you cross the road, you go straight to the 8 tee box, and the camera for 7 green is its own camera, and so is 8 tee box. But sometimes they use obviously if there's a good crowd following on 8, they'll use it for like crowd shots or whatever. So Mito Pereira hold out for Albatross from like 260 one year while you're watching, and there was not a camera in sight because I think,
oh my God,
I've been Scotty's group was coming in right after him on 8. So it's like, but yeah, there's got to be a camera somewhere, even if it's just a CCTV stuck up in a tree somewhere at the green.
Yeah. And you figure you hold out for Albatross on the PGA Tour that they definitely got video of that.
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna get way deep into Keegan Bradley and the Ryder Cup stuff, but do have to put a bow on the Fleetwood thing. I mean, if this guy can speak to the media after a gutting loss like that, somebody tweeted, I forget who it was, but if he can speak to the media after that, I think anyone can speak to the media essentially, right? Like it doesn't get much worse and more dramatic than that. Going into the final round of the 3-shot lead, you think you're finally going to get it over the line. Like even Rory in his press conference was asked about Tommy, and he's like giving a quote as if Tommy's won.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know, right? Like he didn't know at that point what was going to happen at the end, but he was like, oh, it's so great to finally see him get over the line and whatever. And anyways, Fleetwood spoke to the media. He said, I haven't been in this situation for a while. I think, when it sort of calms down, I'm upset now. I'm angry. When it calms down, look at the things that I did well. Look at the things that I can learn from. I said yesterday, I haven't been in this position all year, so it's been a while. Felt like I did a lot of good things, but there was things that I definitely can do better. He said, I obviously played great. I put myself in a great position. I was leading the tournament for 71 holes. I just want to make sure that I can put myself in this position as soon as possible again and try and correct what I did this time. And then he said, I'm upset. I'm angry. Right. So it's really difficult. You feel for the guy. You think he's finally going to get over the line, and it just doesn't happen for him again. But I do think he is going to get over the line for sure. It's just,
I was about to say, he's got plenty of time left. I think he's like 34, 35. So it's not pending. It could still be this season, but it's like, dude.
But it can't be understated either, though, that like the more this stuff happens, the harder it is to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that cannot be understated. Rory bounced back from what happened at Pinehurst last year. Like,
right.
I personally was one to think that guy is going to have a real struggle getting over that. But it didn't take him that long to get over it. But he's a little bit different echelon player. And that's no slight to Tommy. It's harder.
No, I mean, it's but I agree with you though, John. Like his talent and continuing to put himself in those positions, like he'll surely get one at some point. He has to, even if he backdoors into one. And this was a bigger event, a signature event. So, I mean, you know, maybe we get a smaller field event or a weaker field event rather, that he might be able to sneak one in at some point. And it really just needs to get the first one, and then maybe the next few will come easier.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the big story of the day here. It's Keegan Bradley's his 8th win on the PGA Tour yesterday. His last win came at the 2024 BMW Championship. He's the Ryder Cup captain, as we all know, and he's on the record previously saying that he was not going to pick himself as a captain's pick in the event that he didn't qualify on points. So as of right now, I believe he is 9th in the point standings. Right, top 6 auto qualify, and he's 9th right now. He's got 7,800 points. So here, the current qualifiers for the Ryder Cup: Scheffler, Xander, JJ Spawn is 3rd, Russell Henley 4th, DeChambeau 5th, JT 6th, Morikawa 7th, Ben Griffin 8th, Bradley is 9th. So he was asked post round where things stand in terms of a captain's pick for himself. He's also said that when he applied for the job, or when the PGA of America offered him the position, he clarified with them, what do you think about me being a playing captain in the event that were to transpire? Because he wanted to play on the team. And, you know, they assured him, like, you can be a playing captain if it gets to that point. So his quote yesterday, he said, I mean, listen, this changes the story a little bit. I never would have thought about playing if I hadn't won. This definitely opens the door to play. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I certainly have to take a pretty hard look at what's best for the team, and we'll see. It's still June, so we got a long ways to go. This definitely changes things a little bit, and we'll all get together and figure out the best way to do this. So again, Keegan Bradley is looking at potentially being on the Ryder Cup team now. I mean, it's hard to argue why you wouldn't want him to be a part of that, right? Like, all the guys love him. He's made for the Ryder Cup, right? His history at the Ryder Cup. He's a fiery guy, loves Team USA. You guys think he should be on the team?
I mean, I think right now, I have mixed feelings, because I think being a playing captain at Bethpage in New York is going to be extremely hard, right? Like, because I think you're going to have a lot of delegation that you're going to have to do. But I want that guy on my team more so than I want 7 and 8 or JJ and Ben Griffin. And that's no slight to them, but Keegan is a fiery dude. He absolutely gets pumped up. He lives for this country. He loves it. He loves playing golf for New England. He loves playing golf for this country. It's hard for me to argue that if he keeps playing like this, that he should not be a playing captain. But I think we might should sub somebody else in.
If he keeps playing like this, he's going to auto qualify. I mean, and at that point, you don't even have to worry about picking yourself. But I think it's crazy, because as much as we say, like, he's built for this and he seems like a Ryder Cup guy, like, the last Ryder Cup he was in was 2014, which is wild to think about, that he's 39 and hasn't played in one in 10 years or 11 years at this point, right? Like, it's kind of crazy, but I think, like you're saying, Ryan, like, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to auto qualify. What's best for the team? Absolutely. I can't name 11 other guys that I would rather have. I mean, just point blank.
Like, wanted him, like, him being a captain, right? Ryan, you hit it. He's got the passion, the spirit, the kind of draw. Like, that's the guy that you want up to bat, especially here on home turf. Like, that is one of your guys that you absolutely need. So you're fired up when he's captain. So now it's like, okay, if he plays into a playing position, how do you balance the being the captain while playing? Like, you got to bring energy from two perspectives, because you want to be the guy that's getting fired up on the course, but also be able to manage the team if you have a bad day, guys are playing from behind. So it's really hard to kind of manage.
There's one solution.
There is one solution. There's only one. It is
let Tiger Woods be the captain.
Well, I thought about that yesterday. It seemed like there was kind of like a group effort from the media, like, trying to push for that last night. But Bradley kind of, like, if you go back to his quote about getting assurance from the PGA of America that he could be a playing captain. It seems like in the event that he is playing on the team, he'll still be the captain. That's what I took from his answer last night. There is another quote, though, about it. He said, yeah, it's insane. My whole life, every year I was out here, I wanted to play on the Ryder Cup team. And then this would be the first year where maybe I didn't want to. I just wanted to be the captain. And of course, this is what happens. He said, we'll see. I'm going to do whatever I think is best for the team. Whether that's me on the team, this certainly changes a lot of things. And I was never going to play on the team unless I had won a tournament. So we'll see what happens. But maybe he's going to assess his play for the rest of the way.
And you got to add in too, like I know we're talking heavy about how that's just like he's a fit for the USA and all that stuff, but it's being held in the Northeast too, which is also just a home game for him, just like this was. So I know like you've got everybody behind him anyway because of the USA thing, but the Northeast is just Keegan crazy. Like they go wild for that guy. So I think it'd be huge.
I feel like you have to be like ready in the event. Obviously, it could be a non-factor, right? Doesn't get to play in, and so now you've just got a fiery guy that like you're in the situation you want again. But you kind of at this point have to have some options for the chance that he is a playing captain, and like the guys that are supporting him have to like now you got to re-envision this whole team aspect. Like there's a lot of things that he needs to be doing, focusing on as captain, but also needs to be as a player. So you're going to need the back end to step up a whole lot. So like those are the things that not yet, but like you need to have an idea at least as to how that's going to play out because it could be a non-factor, but if it is,
like you say, it would be malpractice to not at least be considering the possibility and preparing for the possibility at this point. Like that'd go right down with like Zach Johnson level mismanagement.
Yeah. So, and I think too, like this needs to be reassessed maybe at the end of July, right? Like let's reassess, let's see where we are. And, to your point, Hutch, about it's been 10 years and how the rah-rah is for him for this year based off of just his personality and how he represents himself. Sometimes those stats, like sometimes the playing stats don't add up. And sometimes the intangibles, I think, like last year when JT got chosen, 2 years ago when JT got chosen, there was all the riffraff, all the talk about leaving this guy off, leaving that guy off, Keegan included, obviously with the big thing on Netflix. But like sometimes the intangibles matter. You know what I mean? Like it really does matter that to have a good rah-rah and a good team guy, or especially a guy who can compare with a ton of other guys and get them pumped up. So I do think that, as Joey said, the back end of this team, I think they're probably going to vouch for this dude. I really do. If he keeps playing like this.
Might end up being like that President's Cup thing where the rest of the team kind of told Tiger like, hey, you need to pick yourself.
You got to pick
you need
bro.
to play.
Yeah.
So
it could end up being like that.
Yeah, on the potential playing captain thing, if he did go on to be a playing captain of the Ryder Cup, it'd be the first to do it at the event since Arnold Palmer did it in 1963.
Yeah, you get a check on the results of that.
I saw it earlier. I think he was like 4-2 or something like that. I saw it literally earlier today.
That's pretty good.
But was it a dub?
That's true. Because you can't lose this. I mean, like you really can't. You can't, especially like at Bethpage. You just
not a Bethpage.
Bring it to the U.S. and do it. Like if you fold this, it's you're kind of the laughing stock.
It was at Atlanta Athletic. Oh, the U.S. dominated that Ryder Cup, 123-9.
So.
123-9, and God, they played a lot. They had a lot of points in the Ryder Cup back then.
So with the win at the Travelers, this is according to Sean Martin of the PGA Tour, Keegan Bradley has entered the top 10 in the official world golf ranking for the first time since August 4th, 2013. Rory McIlroy is the only other player who was in the top 10 both that week and this week. So, I mean, we've talked at length about the official world golf ranking. It's not what it used to be and whatever. But it still demonstrates that Keegan Bradley is rising again towards the top of the world rankings. Being inside the top 10, he just won a signature event. So it's a huge moment for the guy.
So he's been playing well too. It's not like this is out of nowhere. He's been playing well. And to go back to that Arnie thing, it was 23-9. So that was absolute domination.
23 to 9.
Right down the road from me, Atlanta
Um,
Athletic. He did. He was 4-2. We've got that confirmed. He went 4-2 in that Ryder Cup.
So, John, if we make Tiger captain and force him to play a couple events, that means Tiger could be. I mean, he could just tear up the tour again. That's how you get him back.
Yeah, I guess so. If you guys had to pick, you don't have to name like 6 picks, but who kind of off the top of your head would you be picking for a captain's pick right now? I can go through the Ryder Cup standings if you'd like. I'll go through 7 through 12, but then obviously there's guys below that you'd probably want to consider too. But 7 through 12 is Morikawa, Griffin, Bradley. 10 through 12, English, McNeely, and Harmon. Are those kind of the guys that you'd be looking at, or are you going farther down the line to like a Novak, Cantley, Burns?
I mean, I'm going definitely Morikawa, and then if Sammy keeps playing the way he's playing, I like him because he's obviously easily pairable with many guys, especially Scotty. Those would be my two. Just off the top of my head, I look at the rest of the names and nothing just jumps out at me.
I don't know. Harris English gets me a little fired up.
True.
Yeah, you gotta look for somebody to be a good partner with Scotty, right? Like he's your Harris English. Hell, even Russell Henley types like that. Those guys are generally good partners for Scotty. I think it'd be hard to ignore the past successes, and maybe we kind of get something going here in the next couple of live events. But your Brooks Koepka types. I'm not a Patrick Reed fan, but if he starts putting in some good form here coming up, he is. You talk about the rah USA guy, like he's one of them. So that'd be kind of hard to ignore too. But I see your point, and I don't know how, because we've only got one more major. So the live guy, like namely Bryson DeChambeau, right? Like if he doesn't play well in the next major, I don't know how his standing is going to be. He may end up having to be a captain's pick, but he's got to be on the team, right? Like
he'll be on no matter what.
Got to be a guarantee.
100% on the team.
Yeah, he's a lock.
He's a lock in my book. I don't care what his number says beside his name. He's a lock.
Yeah.
But
I'm hoping for Keegan's sake, like in making the captain's pick, that he just auto qualifies so you don't have to use a pick on him.
Right.
Like that'd be the big thing. He just needs a good performance at the Open Championship.
And even if it does, as long as he has the support of the group, it's not going to matter. Like all it's going to come down to is what's in that team room. And if those guys are all with him, it doesn't make a difference whether he picks himself because I assure you that he's not picking himself without those guys' support.
I know I got my Ben Griffin opinion, but dude, if he can get the juice going out there, you can't. I mean, come on.
Legendary run he's been on. Like if he keeps it going, you got to pick him.
Linsanity straight into Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Joey, so Scotty Scheffler's at the top of the Ryder Cup standings. 27,536 points.
Yeah, he's 15 clear of the next.
15,000 points clear of Xander Schauffele, which is just wild. Talk a little bit about Scheffler's week at the Travelers, Joey. You're Scheffler fans. What did you see from him? He had a round of 8 under 62. Was it on Thursday?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You start hot. You think like, again,
blowout.
Right. Story of all odds is Scotty might not be playing his best golf and still manages to finish at the top of the field. So, that front 9 on, I guess, was it Saturday or Friday? I'm losing track of my.
Like when he went to 8 under, or
no, it's
bad day.
Oh yeah, I believe it was Saturday.
Because Saturday Scotty and JT played together and they stunk it up.
It's just I don't know if you're seeing a little bit more visible frustration out of Scotty with some of these. Like there was a putt where it was just he was absolutely flabbergasted that putt didn't turn and just singed the lip. So I mean, at the end of the day, looking at Ryder Cup entirely irrelevant. I mean, he's your guy. No matter how well he's going to go be a player out there. So this week it's just kind of one of those, another silent showing. Starts hot on Thursday and again Sunday.
Where'd he finish?
T6.
I was going to say it was definitely a top 10.
So you saw a 62, which is probably the best side of Scotty right there. And then you saw the worst side of Scotty, the absolute worst that he could be.
Yeah, all in one.
Brother's still in the top 10.
Here, Joey, here's a wild stat. So last 9 events, okay, going back to March 27th at the Texas Children's Houston Open, Scotty Scheffler's worst finish in those 9 events, T8.
Yeah, I saw that stat.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we went T2 at the Houston Open, 4th at the Masters, T8 at the Heritage. He won the CJ Cup. He won the PGA, like those 2 events back to back. He was T4 at the Schwab. He won the Memorial, T7 at the US Open, and T6 at the Travelers. He is just on a heater.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're still seeing the glimpses of him again
being pissed off.
But even in Scotty's terms, like that, I mean, opening with that triple bogey, that was sloppy in anybody's, not even just Scotty terms. That's if any tour player went out and did that on the opening hole, you'd be like, oof. But for Scotty to bounce back and then go shoot bogey free on his last round, like it's just kind of this dance of you're going to see the best of him and the worst of him in a round, and he's still going to sneak in top 6, top 10, whatever it is.
Joey, we'll move on from Scotty, but strokes gained total first for the season. Strokes gained tee to green first. Strokes gained off the tee first. Strokes gained approach to the green first. I mean, putting, he's 17th, but like
terrible.
It was
garbage.
Horrible. Like kick him off the tour.
Yeah, it's just an insane run, and it doesn't have to be flashy. We talked about it the last couple episodes. Now you don't have your Tiger domination necessarily, but he'll do it quietly. But on paper, literally, there's not an ounce of skill that he doesn't have compared to the field. Even when he's, I mean, strokes gained. That list is 50 deep in different aspects of the course. So just staying hot, coming in the Ryder Cup, right time, and just
I mean, his stats over the last 2 years compared to like the 2000 Tiger era are just, I mean, they're almost touching. I mean, they're almost right there. And I think I saw a couple where they might have just creeped beyond, but it's like that. It's, I know in my lifetime, I never thought I would see anything quite as good as that. And we're not there on the domination part necessarily yet, because it stands, you gotta do this over the course of time. But man, these stats are unreal.
Unbelievable. Let's move on to Minjee Lee. Captured her 3rd career major win yesterday at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to check out any of the coverage this week, but another stat from Justin Ray, PGA Frisco scoring average of 75.6 for the week. It's the highest of any LPGA major since the 2013 U.S. Women's Open. Very difficult conditions, proper test. So, I mean, she won under the most brutal conditions there at PGA Frisco. What did you guys think? Let her cook.
Let her cook.
It's in the family.
Yeah,
I was playing tough out there. It was some of those holes were not only the pin placement, but just the way the course was manicured. It was in prime condition, which, you love to see it as much as it makes the field harder to score on. It's chaos.
Well, we heard Nicole talk about it too, like how great that course is because she's played it prior to that. So it's like I say, a great tournament. It seemed like tough, difficult, which from our U.S. Open coverage. Like I love that. I love when it's challenging. I don't want birdie fest or 30 under or whatever. So that's I don't know if I saw some comments online that it may have bordered on too difficult. I don't know too much about it. I didn't get to see much of that tournament, so I don't know if it got to be to that point. I don't know if they lost the course or what happened, but that's whatever. I like a challenge, so I'm good with that.
Who are you, Zach Johnson? I mean, if you look at Nelly Cordo was criticizing more so the pace of play. I guess she did criticize the course setup a little bit. Like she said, I think we played a 2-ball in like 6 hours. That's just a little ridiculous. She made a couple comments throughout the week about how the rounds were just taking way too long to get done, which is a fair point. There's certain players out there that are taking longer than others. I think I saw some more posts this week about Lexi Thompson's group taking quite a while out there. So I don't know if it's a Lexi issue or if it's the people that she's playing with, but some people have made some observations about Lexi. And then obviously last major, I think it was, she had to issue a statement over on Instagram saying that she didn't really feel like she was at fault for her pace of play issues. So seems like Lexi Thompson had initially announced sort of a semi-retirement. She said she was going to be significantly reducing her schedule, and then this year she seems to be kind of right back in it. She's played like she's playing like 4 events in a row or something like that. So, some of these athletes, they're wired to continue competing. I think she kind of gave herself an out in the event that she wasn't able to kind of do it all mentally and stuff like that. But seems like right now she just wants to keep playing, which full credit to her. If she's playing well, why not keep playing, right?
Yeah. Earn the right to do it. Might as well.
I agree. And how about Minjee Lee having a better resume than her brother? Like, that's pretty awesome. I mean, honestly, that's bragging rights when you go home, right?
Absolutely.
Let her cook.
Yeah, there was a video of Minwoo on the PJ, sending his congrats over to Minjee, his sister. So that was pretty cool too. And then I think Minjee Lee is actually the first player with 3 major wins in the 2020s.
Yep.
So she's right up there with the best. Yeah.
She doesn't have to compete against Scotty Scheffler, though.
Nah. What do you guys think, though, about Minwoo? Do you think Minwoo's going to win something big? Like, he has the skill and the talent to do it.
He's got to get his driver under control. If he can get his driver under control, the dudes can win some tournaments. But he's got to get that thing. He's wild. He's played in several feature groups that I've watched, and he just misses too many fairways. And like in this stretch from basically, let's just call it the Memorial until now, like the rough has been pretty damn penal. So like you just can't miss. You can't miss the ball off. You can't miss fairways off the tee. His short game is world class. We all know that. But he's got to get that driver fixed.
If he does, though, hit the level of charisma that he's got, he'll go into the stratosphere in terms of popularity.
Oh yeah,
he's already popular, but the charisma he's got, that'll just be off the charts.
I mean, with the Houston Open, it was at 18, I think, where he just. I mean, he hit it further right than he did forward. I mean, it's one of those where and that was against Scotty and Gary Woodland. I think that was when Gary ended up sticking it from a heinous spot to absolutely dart. But yeah, you got to get that driver under control because Hutch. I mean, he's got the energy. He's got the crowd. He's got the people on his back. So, dude, whenever Minwoo gets hot, and I say whenever because I do think he will. I think we're just seeing the cresting of him. I think it's going to be some exciting stuff to watch. And I'm okay saying that. If it's competing against Scotty Scheffler and giving him a good run like that tournament, I'm all here for it. I like the juice coming down to 18 on Sunday.
He's still so young. What's he, like 24, 25?
He's young.
I mean, like there's plenty of time for this.
And I could tell you,
we're talking about Keegan Bradley being on a lock for the Ryder Cup team, and then we talked about him being in it last 10 years ago. Like, so Minwoo's probably got another 15 or so years of being highly competitive and growing into himself a little bit more. So I can't wait to see it because, like I say, the charisma is just immeasurable for that guy.
The charisma is there, and his fan base is there because when I followed him a couple holes at Quail Hollow at the PGA this year, and everybody, it was all let him cook. It was all the chef. I mean, you could hear
Chapinski or whatever.
Dr. Chapinski. Yep, absolutely. So he's got it. He just needs to fix that driver.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to PGA Tour has named its new CEO. Brian Rolap. So this guy is not a nobody by any means. He was actually the second in command at the NFL. I think he was actually kind of regarded as the next in line to take over for Commissioner Goodell at the NFL. So obviously tons of experience coming from there. I think he spent over 20 years at the NFL. Tons of experience with, getting big TV deals done with the networks and media companies. So that's definitely an asset that he'll be bringing over to the tour. this search has been ongoing for a very long time. I think the PGA Tour had initially announced that they were going to be naming a CEO like sometime in 2024. Like I want to say it was like more than 6 or 8 months ago that they had said that this was their plan. Now, part of this announcement came at the Travelers last week. Tiger was on hand for the announcement. They had a players-only meeting with the new CEO. They said he's not going to actually be starting his new role until later this summer, but they're kind of laying the groundwork for it now. And I mean, we'll just have to see how this kind of develops over time, what he's going to do differently, if he's going to change things or if it's going to be more of the same old. Also included in this announcement has been kind of the future of PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, who will, I guess, be staying on through till the end of 2026, I believe, is what I understand.
Yeah.
So the end of 2026, I think it's kind of going to be a transition as Brian Rolap kind of takes over the reins of the tour. He's kind of in the CEO role, but I think the way it was kind of reported by Sports Business Journal was that once Commissioner Monahan's tenure is finished, they're going to name a commissioner, but it's going to be more of a ceremonial role, which has like Tiger Woods or like Davis Love or someone like that
written all over it.
Like it's got to be a Tiger situation, honestly, probably. More of a face of the business kind of thing, but not actually involved in like the day-to-day, if that makes sense. So just curious to get your guys' thoughts on the naming of Brian Rolap as CEO. What do you expect? Do you think anything's going to change, or do you think it's going to be a while before we kind of see the fruits of this new transition?
I mean, I don't think it's going to be like immediate, right? There's obviously going to be some phasing in and everything. But I mean, if you want to look at an example of a league that's done, I mean, you could do a college class on how to manage a professional sports league, and the NFL is 101. Like that is just the basics right there. So, I mean, in terms of the NFL, he's got his track record, right? Now golf's a little different. NFL can kind of get away. You're doing some overseas stuff. You're mixing in with some TV deals that stick away from the PGA Tour. But in terms of strategy, this guy has been there at the forefront of all of that for the NFL. So
yeah,
I don't think you could pick somebody better to be able to take over that role.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, 100%. Like you can't. If there's anything that's exploded in popularity and TV dollars and ad dollars and everything of that nature over the last 15 or so years, really probably Commissioner Goodell's entire tenure, really the league's just experienced crazy growth. This is a perfect place to do it, and you can't do much better than hiring the number 2 in command. I thought he did a good thing going in and just listening to the players right off the rip. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the nature of some of Monahan's dealings behind closed doors and things like that was some of the complaints that we were hearing from players. And I mean, they were vocal about it. So for him to go in and treat it like that is very much a good sign, a good start for him. I don't know what he's going to bring business wise, but like you're saying, Joey, you can't really go wrong hiring from the number 2 in command at the NFL, because the NFL is just king right now. I mean, I
think a big part of it is just the existing relationships that he has, right? Like that's a huge part of it. Another interesting tidbit is that he's actually pretty good buddies, I believe, with the CEO of Live, right?
Yeah.
You guys see that? So that's kind of interesting as well. Commented on, and when the guy became CEO of Live, congratulated him. So who knows, but it's something, right? Rolap also said that Tiger Woods had a pretty significant influence on finding the CEO. He said, I would classify Tiger's influence as significant. He works hard. He's smart. He's dedicated. He's doing this for not his legacy necessarily, but he's doing it for the benefit of the next generation of players. And that comes through significantly. So it's good to see that Tiger was there at the announcement with the new CEO, flew up to Hartford for this. And then we also got some other quotes too from some of the guys involved with the board. The tour has always thought long-term, but at the same time, they've really been sponsor and tournament driven, and to a certain extent they still are. But having the 1.5 billion SSG investment allows you to think a lot different. The NFL is a big enterprise and has a great standard of excellence. He's learned what the best league in the world has done. He has experience through his 20 years. That is an amazing thing alone for the PGA Tour to kind of lean on. I believe those quotes are from Arthur Blank, who is on the PGA Tour board.
Also the owner of your Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, that was actually Joe Ogilvy, who is a member of the PGA Tour board. But
I'm sure he's a Falcons fan too.
Yeah. Those quotes came from Bob Herrig of Sports Illustrated. Shout out, Bob.
I feel like the biggest thing with the NFL has been at least in the last 8 to 10 years, has been player development. And obviously with the way Liv's playing out and everything, it had to be a big factor as to how Liv's approaching your Bryson DeChambeau's, right? How do you still lift up the PGA Tour, but channel these guys' inner, their own thing that they have going on, their individual prowess that also garnishes a lot of attention. Like you look at someone like Minwoo, and his popularity doesn't necessarily coincide with how he plays on the tour. He's got his own shtick. He's got his own fan base. And the biggest thing with the NFL is they've been able to kind of take those personalities and push it into the game. And so, I mean, that's what the PGA needs the most. We've said that for the last couple of years, is personalizing the game, getting these people, more out there in terms of personality. So I'm super excited to see how they angle that.
I was going to piggyback on that too, because I was thinking, if you got the number 2 guy from the NFL coming over, the NFL prints money. Okay. They know how to run a business model that can only help the PGA going forward, whatever it's going to look like with the PGA enterprise and whether Liv is going to be involved or not. But what they do so well is the fan experience. Everything about the fan experience is amazing with them. And so if you're getting a number 2 guy who's been watching this year after year after year, and the NFL, you think it's going to plateau every year. It's got to plateau, and it just doesn't. So to have a guy like that, I think will vastly improve, in my opinion, the way that the tours run, and then the game of golf, whatever that looks like when it comes together. But this guy has literally just been right there and in the shotgun seat watching this whole thing happen. So he could bring a ton of experience to the tour. I think it's only a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. One interesting tidbit, though, before we move on to the Wyndham Clark situation, is that Brian Rolap is not really a huge golf guy. I mean, obviously, he, in terms of playing golf, he's a golf fan. I'm sure he watches a ton of golf on TV and whatnot. But Alex Myers of Golf Digest asked Brian Rolap about not having a handicap. He said he plays 5 to 10 times a year, usually with his kids, but doesn't have a handicap. He joked, he said, quote, "That's classified." So kind of take that for what it is. You can assume that he doesn't play a ton and he isn't that great, which is interesting. I mean,
he's going to be on the business side of it. That's fine.
He's on the business side, and that's where they need help. So
he will also certainly catch the golf bug. If there's one position to catch it, it's PGA Tour CEO. So he'll be out there knowing he's going to have some big meetings out on the golf course with some pretty influential people. That will kick you in the ass to go get a little bit better.
And Sawgrass is just across the road from their HQ. So he should have no trouble getting a tee time out there.
No.
All right, let's move on. Wyndham Clark once again. So, I mean, we talked about it at the PGA when he launched his driver into T-Mobile signage, and then another incident, another major later, another incident. So Oakmont, he misses the cut. We talked about it on the last episode, but he kicked in some lockers inside of the historic Oakmont locker room and went viral on X when Tron Carter of No Laying Up leaked the images. Somebody sent them to him. We don't know whether it was another player, whether it was a locker room attendant, or whether it was a caddy. Who knows? But these images got out. They're obviously real. And Wyndham Clark was asked about it. So we have his quote. He said, I made a mistake that I deeply regret. I'm very sorry for what happened, but I'd also like to move on, not only for myself, but for Oakmont, for the USGA, and kind of focus on the rest of the year and things that come up. I still want to try to make the Ryder Cup team. I still am on the outside looking in for the FedEx Cup, so I'm starting to move on and focus on those things. I don't know about you guys. The apology didn't really come across as very sincere to me. I mean, if you you have to actually watch the video to actually kind of get a sense of what he said and how he said it. But for a guy that's, just had an incident at the PGA, and then now I would say this is probably a much worse incident in a way, because just given that it's in the locker room, there's so much history in there. You're causing damage to a country club that's over 100 years old. It's not the best look for sure. What are you guys?
But we talked last time, because didn't we see? Was it? And I could be misremembering the person. Was it Graham McDowell who said he'd seen a lot worse?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm sure that stuff happens. If it wasn't Wyndham, if he wasn't coming off doing the T-Mobile damage and breaking his driver, like, I'm sure it wouldn't be. It may not even be reported at all, honestly. But the apology just kind of felt disingenuous.
Mm-hmm.
And then to say something crazy like trying to make the Ryder Cup team on top of that was just kind of like, what? Like a great distraction tactic right there. Like that's insanity. But he's just one of those guys. I feel like since he had his moment at the U.S. Open, he just kind of lost his way. It feels like to me. I don't know if that was just kind of like the high point or what. I'm not sure. But that the apology to me didn't feel genuine. It just kind of felt disingenuous, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think this issue is twofold, right? Like, first of all, nobody's condoning that behavior, especially at a historic place like Oakmont, when those lockers have stayed the same for God knows how long. And second of all, the second part of Graham McDowell's tweet, when he followed up, because there was a lot of backlash guessing who the player was he was referencing in 2016, is, hey, what happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. And I also agree with that as well. Like, I don't know who's leaking things, but at the same time, like, everybody has a bad moment. And the fact that he did it behind closed doors is the only grace I will give him on this. But at the same time, like, I just, I think it's been compiled because of the Rory T marker smash. It goes back to him. JT helicoptered his driver on Sunday and nearly hit a guy. Was he intentionally doing that? No, he was not intentionally trying to hit the dude. But I feel pretty confident that he kind of intentionally released it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we get so caught up in who it is and what it is. And sometimes it's just not that big of a deal because there's probably a lot of these moments that happens that we don't hear about.
Yeah, agree completely. I mean, the same thing I was saying with if he hadn't have come off of doing that with the driver and the T-Mobile sign, I really do feel like it wouldn't have even been reported what happened in the locker room in Oakmont.
Well, yeah, it's true. But Joey, that marshal said that he was like scared for his life at the PGA. I mean, had the driver actually hit the guy, it would be a completely different conversation, right? Obviously didn't, luckily, thank God. But this is 2 temper tantrums in a matter of events now at majors. But is it just a frustration thing?
I mean, yeah, because, okay, so the signage thing, I mean, I spoke on it last time. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. First off, it's a piece of, I don't even know what they're made out of, but, basically a piece of plastic. Now, hitting somebody with the driver, yes, definitely could have been a bigger issue. If Morgan Wallen would have hit somebody with a chair, bigger issue, but non-issue. So technically, you have 2 incidents. The first one, second one, technically, if no one ever knew about it, I don't think, clearly it's not something amongst the locker room guys that, caused this massive, 3 or 4 people came out of the locker room and had mentioned it to somebody. And I mean, maybe that is how it happened. Maybe, someone kind of, through the web of communication had said something about it because it pissed them off enough. But you definitely don't want to see him damaging Oakmont, especially with just how prestigious it is and how much history is there. That's the one frustrating part. If it was a cabinet in the bathroom, different story. When it's like those old lockers that have just got a lot of, history in those, and the people that have walks by those and touch those, it has a lot. So take your anger out somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too big of a fan of doing it on the course either, but I'd rather you take out a chunk of bunker than a chunk of locker. So
I agree, man. And when you and I think what also amplifies this is when they showed the pictures of all the benches in there with all the old cleat marks from guys from however many years ago. It's like, it just adds that little bit of nostalgia to it. It's kind of like it seems, it seems bigger than it is, and it is a big deal. Like there should be some sort of punishment for him for sure. I don't know what that is, whether it's monetary fines, whether it's tournament suspensions or something. I mean, because it is obviously a repeat offense of recently. But I'm kind of with you, Joe. It's like, man, like when Scotty the other day, when he slammed his wedge into the middle of the fairway after he got pissed, it's like, haven't we all done that? We've all done that. So it's like, fix it and move on. But and then the second part of his apology, it's like, come on, man. Let's don't talk Ryder Cup in an Oakmont apology. And second of all, like, you're probably not making the team, man. It's just you're 20 something probably in the points.
Yeah, he's 22nd. What's actually happening, fellas, I think is frustration's kind of boiling over for Wyndham Clark ever since the Masters. I mean, he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 events since Augusta. I mean, he was T46 at Augusta. He was T27 at the Heritage. He was T63 at the Truist. He was T50 at the PGA, 56th at Memorial, T59 in Toronto, missed the cut at the US Open, and then now T17 at the Travelers. So trending more in the right direction. He had a good round early in the week, I believe. I think he was up there at the top of the leaderboard after the first round, if I'm not mistaken. But
those results are just the anti-Scotty.
22nd. He's not Scotty Scheffler, I can tell you that. 22nd in points right now on the Ryder Cup. If things were picked right now, it doesn't feel like Wyndham Clark would be on the team. Not a chance, right?
Yeah. And one thing I go back to as well, and this is from the TGL days earlier this year. He kept being picked up on Mike saying, "I want my moment. I want my moment. I got." And then I think he made a long putter. He chipped in. He said, "I got my moment." So it's almost like, in a way, he's chasing some validity to that U.S. Open win. In a way, like, because once you win one, you're like, okay, well, I got to validate myself. And so I think it's probably just frustration boiling over. Honestly, I'm not saying it's right, but I think that's more than likely what it is. Because I know he does a lot of mental work, because he announces that he works with a doctor regularly.
Right.
Brother, you're not going to get your moment in TGL to validate your US.
I think he wanted his TGL moment, but
I love TGL, but come on.
Billy had his moment.
Billy had his moment. Yes, he did.
That was one of the only moments. But yeah.
I love TGL, but come on, dude. What are we talking about? I don't know if that's more crazy or talking about making the Ryder Cup team while being asked about breaking a locker at Oakmont.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just all correlates in a way, because it's like if you think that you're going to get a moment from that, to your point, what are you chasing on the golf course? It's got to be much bigger than that. And I think he's just not satisfied, not getting the results.
All right. Well, that's enough of Wyndham. Let's move on to Charlie Woods. So Charlie Woods has qualified for the U.S. Junior Amateur. He fired 1 under par 71. He won in a 3-for-1 playoff at Eagle Trace Golf Club in Coral Springs, Florida. So this will be Charlie's second appearance at the Junior Amateur. First appearance, I believe, last year was last year they played in Michigan, I believe. It was in July. And then this year, I believe the tournament is in Dallas, somewhere near Dallas.
Hope he can afford the travel.
I hope so. Hope he can find a way there too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is exciting, folks. Like, this is really exciting. He won the AJGA event recently. Now he's back qualified for the U.S. Junior Amateur. He's playing well, obviously. His game has really turned a corner, it seems, now. I mean, last year at the Junior Amateur, he didn't play very well. I think he shot 2 rounds in the 80s last year, or one high in the 70s and the other like mid 80s. It wasn't a good performance for him. Obviously, the AJGA win was huge for his confidence. He said that. He, finally figured it out like late in his rounds, didn't have any big numbers. He was able to get the win. And then now, once again, back at the junior AMs, just want to get your guys' thoughts on Charlie Woods, where you see his kind of career trajectory going. Obviously, he's still super young and there's a lot of runway ahead, but he is truly putting up results now against some of the best juniors.
I mean, John, you can speak to it. He's had immense pressure from the moment he's been swinging a golf club to live up to his father's hype, which already is an understandably insane baseline to hold a junior golfer up to. But I feel like it's like when he starts playing these junior tours and filling out in size, there's a lot of pressure on him. And then now it's almost kind of tapered off to the point where it's like, all right, we reasoned our expectations of the kid. And then now he's filling out still more in size. He's getting stronger. He's looking more dialed in. Obviously, he's working with his coaches and as well as his dad, obviously. So now that the pressure's kind of off a little bit, I feel like it kind of gave him a little bit of time to go out there. Like no one was staring at the AJGA event being like, he better top 10 this or he better go win this. Like it kind of was just like a shock to actually see him go win it. Right. So obviously seeing him trend towards that, there might be some more added pressure. I hope and assume it runs in the family blood that he can, handle pressure, but you'll love to see it and you hope that he can kind of, remain that steady trend.
Yeah, I think this just gives him, I think this is just an opportunity for him to just continue to build a platform. Not that he needs a platform, but his own platform. He's just got to keep playing well. And these last couple of events have been great, but we need to see a little bit more sustainability. And I do think that we need to lay off the pressure of the dude just a little bit. I'm not saying that it's guys like us, but there's still a lot of pressure out there on that guy. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what this develops into, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is all going to be good for him, right? Like this is all going to be valuable experience for him in handling pressure and handling moments like this. Just dealing with the expectations. We've talked about it before, John, like how we thought that Tiger's done a pretty good job of shielding him from as much of it as possible. But to see his game kind of coming around to where some of that pressure is actually warranted now, because before we weren't necessarily getting the results to where the pressure didn't match the result, right? Like the expectation didn't match the result. Now we're kind of seeing that, and it's exciting to see. And hopefully, he just keeps building on it and puts up a good result here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how this kind of story develops here over the next coming months. Even he's going to be playing another AJGA event, I believe, coming up pretty soon. Mm-hmm. The reality is he can play whatever event he wants at this point now, especially after the AJGA win. Just being Tiger's son, he can probably get an exemption into whatever. He can play any junior event that he wants, essentially. I think we're going to be seeing him more now as the confidence rises and just after that win. But he's not the only Woods in the family. We got a Tiger Woods sighting on Friday, which is a pretty welcome sight. He flew up to Augusta for the day. He's visiting the short course there at the Augusta Municipal Golf Club, which is owned by Augusta National. So they posted some photos to social media. Him and chairman of Augusta, Fred Ridley, were there taking some photos. And it's good to see Tiger's walking on foot. He doesn't have a boot. He doesn't have crutches. He's walking on his own. He's like marching through thick sand on the golf course, which is pretty crazy to see. I mean, that must mean there's some strength being built in his leg at this point, his foot, right? In his Achilles. He had surgery on March 11th, which is 3 months ago now, to repair the torn Achilles there. So I don't know. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Is he going to make an appearance towards the end of this year and then kind of transition over to the Champions Tour along with the majors? How do you see the next year going for Tiger Woods?
I've been pretty consistent, right? Like I've been pretty consistent. I don't think we'll see him till Hero or PNC, whichever one's first, right? By the way, on the PNC point, him and Charlie got to get one before Charlie turns pro. because it's ridiculous that they haven't won one already, right? But they got to get one for Charlie Trims Pro. I think we'll see him there. John, they just put in that exemption for him to play all the signature events. I mean, maybe you see him sprinkle in a PGA Tour Champions event or two, but I think he's still, if the health is good enough, I think he's still going to try to play the PGA Tour schedule. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah, I think we are going to see him. So he's going to try to play the major championships next year, I think. But I do think we'll see him at the PNC this year, I imagine, possibly the Hero if everything trends well. I think we're going to see a couple of Champions Tour events start to kind of trickle in next year as well, though. They're talking about the event at Akron, Firestone Country
Firestone,
Club, right?
He loves
this. This is going to be, I mean, we've talked about it before, but if he does play an event like that, the entire kind of premise of the Champions Tour is going to be much different than it is now.
Everything changes.
It changes everything. Like the Champions Tour is going to be outdrawing regular PGA, like certain PGA Tour events for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Logistically, it changes it all, though.
It does.
Like,
and I don't know if
prep.
the Champions Tour is ready for that. Are they ready for that guy's debut? Like
they'll have to lean. They'll have to lean on the PGA Tour, though, right? Like they can get that from them. As far as the logistics go and tournament prepping, they got a little bit of taste of it with Phil, right? When Phil came, there was pretty big hoopla about that. It's all relative. Like Tiger's on a different level, right? But at least they're going to be sort of prepared. Do you think, John, it's the cart is the reason why we're going to see that?
I think it's just part of the evolution of the Tiger Woods brand and his association with the PGA Tour. I think this is the logical kind of next step that they've been planning for. Like reports began to emerge, I want to say like the middle of last year, that the Champions Tour is already preparing for this day. Like there's a group of people who are planning for his, introduction to the Champions Tour. So it's not going to be a shock when it arrives. The Akron Beacon Journal was asked this week because the event was at Firestone. Bernard Langer said, "For us, it would be a thrill to see Tiger come out and play the Champions Tour. I'm convinced he will play several, depends how many. I'm going to gradually get older here, and I may not be at the very top of my game when he comes out, but he always moves the needle." That was Bernard Langer back in January. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, we're going to see him play a couple events here and there. Jack Nicklaus is on the record at the Memorial saying that Tiger's going to win 50% of the Champions Tour events that he tees it up. So, I mean, we'll see. He said that Tiger's going to dominate the Champions Tour. Remember, Phil came out like you alluded to, and I think he won like his first 3 starts or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was on fire because he was still competitive at that point, right? Like he had yet to win the PGA for the last time, right? Like, so this is just kind of, I see what you're saying about the evolution. I feel like he's going to try to play those big events and try to get one more win on the PGA Tour.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Like I know what you mean. I think it's not going to be like a full-on transition next year. I just think it's going to begin. We're going to see a few appearances here and there. He's obviously going to try, and if he's healthy enough, going to try and play the events where he'll be walking. But if things go south with the health and, the walking and recovery time is difficult and things like that, I could see him, deciding to turn his attention more to the Champions Tour for sure.
He's still going to scratch that competitive itch.
He's
without
got
the
so
damage
many
to your body.
So many buddies out there, right? So
I think too, next year, John, to your point about the transition, I think next year, let's just say health stays the same. And I know that's a very big statement to say with Tiger Woods, but if health stays the same, I think it's just going to be a nice blend next year, which helps him into that easy transition into the Champions Tour. I think he will definitely try to play all the majors. Like Hutch said, he may try to pick off a signature event or a big event of Players or something like that. But I think it will be a very healthy transition if he can get in a golf cart and get some reps under his belt. Honestly, like I think that's only going to help his chances on competing on the regular tour, to be honest, because the reps will be there without necessarily all the physical. So I think it's just going to be a nice blend next year, or at least that's what I'm hoping for.
I think he has to kind of use it as almost like a leg up into like trying to play competitively on the tour and in majors, because knowing Tiger, he's not just going to be like, body's not doing it, I'm going to start taking a cart and not playing as much. Like, that's not Tiger. So, no. I mean, if he can PR it to the point where it's like a Sunday Red thing, and then it's like, oh, like this tournament means a lot to me at this venue on the senior tour. It's like, okay, well, now I can use this to see how I play competitively, how the leg holds up, the rest of his body holds up, to then bring that back to some, events on the PGA Tour, some signature events and majors. But I do think it'll be a while. And John, I guess you would probably have the best insight on it. But I think it is still a while before he just is like, senior tour, give me the cart. Like, I can't do it.
Well, one thing schedule, he needs to play Firestone next year. Well, I think
that's clearly happening, and it almost seems like there's a bit of a PR push around it. Like, not only the Champions Tour players are commenting on it pretty regularly, but the Champions Tour social media itself is also kind of teasing it. They put out a photo in January, Tiger driver off the deck, like a video, and then they said more of this in 2026. Like, they're asking the question. They're hyping it up. They put out a graphic that said, 4 years ago when Tiger said, well, 4 more years, I'm in the cart. He said that on his 46th birthday. So I think this has been planned on for a pretty long time. He's asked about it pretty regularly, and all the guys that are on the Champions Tour know Tiger. They talk to him all the time. The Steve Strickers of the world, the Freddie Couples of the world, they get asked pretty routinely, and they say they think we're going to see him. It's just a matter of how much. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few Champions Tour events next year. The cart is going to be a welcome thing for him, right? Easier on the body. It's how he does it at home anyways. So if he could play the majors, a few Champions Tour events, the Hero, we're looking at 8 to 10 events there. So,
and I'll say that to piggyback on that about the cart, I mean, that's not just because of all of his injuries. Those guys benefit from that out there on that tour immensely by having that cart. Some of those dudes are old. Bernhard Langer, old, man. Some of those dudes have put on the LBs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need that cart. So I think that's just there. Honestly, it's just going to help them with the ages of all those guys. I don't think that's necessarily, just to Tiger, to be honest with you.
Well, them dudes are old and may have put on some pounds, but none of them got the trauma to their leg that Tiger's got, right? Like, so this is it's going to help him. I'd say arguably more than anybody, right? Like, it will. We've talked about it before that he probably could get an exemption from the tour as like a handicap person to be able to use a cart, right?
Oh, like he could. Yeah.
And he won't, but he's just too proud to do it. But like, I just looked it up. Firestone's 11 hours away from me, and I'm thinking that may be worth the drive.
Yeah, for sure. 8 wins there. Anyways, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see kind of how.
Remember he shot 61 there, John? You remember that?
I do remember that day.
Yeah,
he was wearing a blue shirt, 2013.
Yeah. That Sean Foley swing.
Yeah. I was actually playing a round of golf that morning, and I was late for the round. Like, I came off the course, and he was like, I think 4 holes in, and he had already gone, like, I guess he started out like birdie or something, right? Like, he had an eagle in there on the front, I think. And
what a time to be alive. Jones and Vipers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2013.
Let's get to our picks. It's the Rocket Mortgage Classic this week. We've also got a live event in Dallas. I think live in Dallas this year.
Give me Bryson.
This week. Yeah. So who you guys got for the Rocket Mortgage? You need a field?
I'm going Ricky Fowler.
Dang.
Always gets the exemption into that one, eh? or
Yeah.
does he qualify?
I don't know if he
yeah.
qualified or got.
Well,
put in it.
isn't that the one that did? Am I mistaken? Did he not win that in like 23? When that
Yes. Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was his
Let me
big
get-
comeback. I'll
Yeah,
pick the
that's
live
right.
event. I'm picking Bryson in Dallas. It's kind of a home game for him.
Yeah, I was going to go Bryson. Be in the Dallas spot. I don't know how well the course is going to play for it, but he's just going to mess around out there and hit bombs. So
He's got that Keegan thing going for him right now.
I'll go
Nealon stays
Rombo in the live event.
All right, here's some of the top guys that are playing this week. Colin Morikawa, Keegan Bradley. Oh, Keegan's playing this week.
He didn't withdraw? Wow.
Apparently
That's
not.
still good, right?
Well, that's exciting.
That boy's going to go back to back.
Matsuyama's playing. Ben Griffin, Cantlay. Hutch, your boy Wyndham. He's in the field.
Breaking this week.
Tracking Wyndham. Akshay Bhatia is playing. Minwoo Lee, Cam Young, Tony Finau, Ben On, Max Grazerman. I mean, another interesting story. I don't want to go too off topic, but James Piot, who was a live golfer, he was on a 2-year stint at live, and I believe he was relegated at the end of the 2023 season.
Yeah.
He's just been added to the field at the Rocket Mortgage on a unrestricted sponsors exemption. So a live guy is back on the PGA Tour, which is interesting.
I like that kid though. He's got some flash, so keep an eye on him. I think Ben Griffin stays hot. As much as I don't necessarily want it to happen, dude.
The Griffin run continues
with them damn
Griffin
aviators.
sanity, baby. I'll tell you what's a lock,
sanity.
Ryan. A lock is John Rahm to finish top 10, as he has in every
that is
single live event that he's
100% a
played.
lock. You're dead. You're
That
dead
is-
on 100% a lock.
But I like the Bryson home game. I think it Liv puts on a good event. Hopefully there's a stacked leaderboard. I know this is kind of I'm going to call it a quote unquote down week for the PGA Tour in terms of what kind of event we've got. Although I remember watching Ricky win there, the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Like it was a big deal. So the crowds are incredible up there. I did see a story about one guy playing in it who like had to relearn to walk or something like that, and Monday qualified. So that's kind of a cool story too. Like they've got some cool stuff going on up there. But yeah, Bryson live. It should be a good week. It's hot as hell in Dallas too.
Hutch, you're not going for your boy Carlos Ortiz in Dallas?
No, I was pulling hard for my boy Ortiz in the U.S. Open. Pulling hard for him.
Maybe Neiman again. I mean,
I like Neiman. It's just kind of like the Keegan thing at the Travelers, right? Like this is just a home game for Bryson. He's been playing so good. Dallas is his spot, right? Like I don't even know what course they're playing at, but it should be exciting.
They're playing at is it Meridu? Isn't that where they played the Dallas event last year?
I have no idea, but it's going to be exciting to watch. I'll be tuned in, and I'll be watching the Rocket Mortgage Classic as well.
It's at Meridu Golf Club, presented by Aramco.
Yeah.
Who also sponsors PGA Tour for those elitists. Or the LPGA Tour, something like that.
LPGA Tour.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think we're going to wrap it there, fellas. It's been an awesome show. We've talked about a lot. As always, you can find our show live on X, live on YouTube every Monday night. On major weeks, we're live on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. But when there's no majors, it's Monday nights at 8:30, live on X, live on YouTube. After the show concludes, you can find the replay on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And as always, join tonight my co-hosts Ryan, JT Legion, Joey, Scheffler fans, and Hutch Bennett, one of our Nuclr ambassadors. It's been awesome, guys, and we will see you guys on the next episode of the Nuclr Golf Podcast.